Guys, I want to really dig into the state of the Crucible. And good morning. It is Monday. Hope your week's going good. We got one more week until Christmas is upon us. And I'm excited, man. I love fucking Christmas. But let's talk about the Crucible and what's happening up in here. Hand cannons and pulse rifles. Now, this video actually originally started out as kind of a sniper video because I had some people want me to go ahead and address the fact that snipers are the most underutilized weapon in Crucible. Actually, I think linear fusion rifles are less used than even snipers, but you're right. Our precision weapons are definitely not used as much as they should be. And when it comes to sniper rifles, I think the biggest turnoff for them is the amount of flinch that they receive from our automatic weapons like assault rifles and SMGs. If Bungie has a way of tuning down the amount of flinch you receive from just automatic weapons, we would be great. I think you would see a huge uptick in sniper rifle usage in Crucible. But as of right now, you're going to consistently keep seeing rocket launchers and pretty much rocket launchers and occasionally a fusion rifle. But outside of that, that's just how I feel about sniper rifles. Let's talk about our bread and butter today, which is pulse rifles and hand cannons. Now, if you ever looked at my feed, it doesn't really matter, but if you ever looked into my stats from D1, I used pulse rifles more than anything. And when it came to trials, pulse rifles was where I felt the most comfortable with. It was that weapon that can still do a good job up close, not necessarily the weapon you want to rely on, but it was the mid-range dominating weapon above all things. And in my playstyle, I feel a lot more comfortable at the mid-range. And so pulse rifles, a weapon type that I kind of originally saw myself using a lot coming into Destiny 2. But as you notice, if you look at the top weapons that are on the leaderboards every single week for Trials of the 9, where is a pulse rifle but maybe Vigilance Wing? Even with weapons like Darkest before coming out, Time War Spire from back in Iron Banner, weapons that we would consider some of the best in the game based on the archetype of which it falls into, the time to kill, and the fact that it's just a fantastic, well-rounded pulse rifle. How come you don't see as much usage of these weapons in Crucible? The fact of the matter is, guys, pulse rifles specifically are in a terrible state in this game right now because they do not have a fleshed out dominating range like they had in D1. A lot of people felt like auto rifles should have had more love in Destiny 1. They originally did, similar to what we're seeing now in Destiny 2. But the thing about that they had in Destiny 1 was they had a cutoff range. There was a certain point when you shot with your auto rifle that they would just not register at a distance, which pretty much said, okay, I gotta fight this guy at the mid-range. My auto rifle shots are not registering. I need the next best thing. What would that be? A pulse rifle. As of right now in D2, it is more reliable in all mid-range engagements, all the way to scout rifle range, to just use an auto rifle. And that's not just something specific to Uriel's. That's Prosecutor. That's also Positive Outlook. That's so many different RPM, 450 RPM auto rifles that were supposedly going to be dealt with and not necessarily done away with, because I don't want to necessarily look at nerf. I just want to see a cutoff range on these weapons, and I have yet to see that with assault rifles. It is still the same weapon, still the same assault rifles week in, week out in Trials of the 9. Alright, so let's briefly talk about hand cannons. Again, this is just a recap pretty much over the past couple of weeks of how these weapons have all felt to me. And hand cannons themselves feel better. Now, do they feel as good as I want them to feel? No, this is specifically on console. If you go to PC and you pick up a hand cannon, you'll notice how great the weapons feel. And yes, on PC, they feel phenomenal, which really makes me question and scratch my head. What is the reasoning behind this? Is it the tick rate? Is it the frame rate? Is it the field of view? What are the variables here at play making this hand cannon, for some odd reason, register so much better here on PC than it does on console? Regardless, the hope is that we would at least get our hand cannons to register and work and feel as good as they do on PC for us on console, on Xbox, and also on PlayStation. That's the goal through all of this. That's at least my goal, is that we get it to be the same. And hopefully, playtesting is being conducted on both platforms, and we will eventually start getting these sandbox updates rolled out a little separately and a little differently, because the meta is fleshed out a little differently on PC than it is here on console. But hand cannons across the board, yes, they feel better. Are they in a dominating stage? No. Which takes us to the conclusion of this video. How do we fix hand cannons and pulse rifles, and this is the truth whenever I think about these two gun types. I think hand cannons require a very skilled hand, and I think pulse rifles equally require a very skilled hand. When you think of pulse rifles and you compare that to an assault rifle, a weapon you just lay onto the R2 trigger with, pulse rifles definitely take you to time your shots, place your shots, especially since every single shot has a bullet spread involved. So yes, there is a practice to using pulse rifles, and hand cannons of course has a practice and a very large skill gap in them as well. These weapon types should have the best optimal time to kill, without a doubt. Because, and not in a body shot sense. See, everybody gets all flustered when we talk about time to kill on this channel. Time to kill, guys, body shot wise, assault rifles and SMGs are very, very forgiving, and that's okay. I'm okay with leaving their time to kills where it's at and where they're standing right now. Nothing changed across the board for all SMGs and assault rifles. But for a person that wants to pick up a pulse rifle and a guy that wants to pick up a hand cannon, I want that person to be rewarded for the critical hits that they land. For every critical hit that they land, they should be rewarded, especially on a weapon type that is as unforgiving as they are. It is not a weapon type in which you can just lay onto the trigger finger with and let it work for you. This is a weapon type that you actually have to pace your shots, land those crits, and it should be the most rewarding on an optimal time to kill basis, not a body shot time to kill. Matter of fact, if you want to, leave it on the same body shot damage that it is now, but make my critical hits massive to the point that if I actually take the time to land those crits, it will be the deciding factor with me winning out in that gunfight. As of right now, with all the weapons coming, and I've picked up a lot of these new guns, all the trial weapons, the raid weapons, you know, I know we got factions coming out as well as Iron Banner, but guys, what I'm trying to say is all of these guns that I've picked up, with the mods that I've loaded into them, with them being masterwork weapons, regardless of all of those things coming into place, I still find Seasons 1 meta is very much Seasons 2 meta. And not that I wanted to see some huge shift in the meta, I just want to see a skill gap there in which it is obviously going to reward the player that takes the time to land the crits. Fellas, that's my thoughts on it though. Let me know in the comments below what you think. What do you think about pulse rifles? What do you think about hand cannons? And by the way, this is not to say that neither one of those weapon types work in Crucible right now. All I'm trying to say is there needs to be a uptick in critical damage from each of those weapon types, because if not, we're going to be looking at pretty much the same meta and same weapon types from Season 1. Guys, as always, slap that like button like your mama told you right. So let's get